In today's video, I'm going to give an update on my solo adventure for Frontier Scum, and I'm also going to talk about a comment I received on my first video with a suggestion on how to use playing cards as an oracle. So let's get into this. Welcome to Solitary RPG. Okay, so when we left off, Slobbers, who is my PC for this game, was left with a moral decision. He just shot Rattlesnake Eyes and gave him a very bad injury to his leg. And he had to decide what he was going to do with Rattlesnake Eyes. So after the game, I actually went on vacation. While I was on vacation, I just kind of came up with the story as it progressed. Again, while I was traveling, I had a lot of downtime. It's not like I could pull out my stuff and start playing, so I just kind of imagined this story. When I came home from vacation, I just started writing. And don't be afraid to do that if you're in your solo games. If you have a thread of an idea or a story loop or something you want to create, just start writing. It's okay, and I'm quite happy with what my decision was. So I did decide that Slobbers was going to try to save Rattlesnake Eyes. He had a moral obligation to do that, and he did what he could to stop the bleeding. He took his belt off. He used it as a tourniquet. He did all those usual doctory type things that one would expect to happen. However, Rattlesnake Eyes didn't survive. He died. So Slobbers basically buried him in a kind of grave. You're talking about the old times. Graves were very in depth. Didn't have a backhoe to dig a proper grave, so kind of made a shallow grave for Rattlesnake Eyes. Took all of his stuff and continued on with his journey. And what really came to me during my vacation is kind of this story about how Rattlesnake Eyes actually woke up covered in dirt and kind of pushed himself out of this shallow grave in a lot of pain with nothing left because Slobbers just took everything of his and then tried to make his way back to town and didn't quite make it. I like to use movie terms a lot, so I did a fade to black like you would see in any other kind of movie, like Lord of the Rings. At the end, Frodo and Sam were on the side of Mount Doom and the lava was flowing, and you see the eagles come in, and then everything just fades to black. Next thing you know, Frodo's waking up with the elves in a bed, all recovered and happy and joyful. So I did the same kind of a concept. I faded to black. Next thing you know, Rattlesnake Eyes is waking up in a doctor's office of sorts. His leg's been tended to. It's been amputated. And basically he's taken care of. There's like a nurse there and there's a doctor there and they're treating his injuries and all that wonderful stuff. Turns out that the doctor is also kind of a tinkerer. If you think back in the time of Western civilization, we didn't have a lot of the luxuries that we have today, and creative people had to make stuff work. So this doctor is one of those people that kind of makes his own tools, makes his own things. He made Rattlesnake Eyes a prosthetic leg that he could use, which is kind of a cool leg because I actually found when I was creating Rattlesnake Eyes' stats for the game and kind of rolling through it, there was a roll on a chart. I noticed something that said, a shotgun leg. So I took that and gave that to Rattlesnake Eyes. So now he has like a secret compartment in his leg that houses a shotgun. And it's just kind of a cool little thing. It's also got a little card trickery thing going on where he can house a card in the false leg for when he's gambling and cheats. So anyways, so that's kind of where the story went. And then, why did the doctor save Rattlesnake Eyes? Well, this is where some of the role playing came in. the sewer cat gang that is running in Fort Gullet stole something from him. Stole a little box. And if you go back to my original story, Slobbers was delivering a little box. So at this point, I had to come up with what was in the little box, and is the box related to what Slobbers is transporting to the next town. So that was really the only dice rolling I did. Is I rolled what's in the box. What's in the box is a small silver pistol, and then I had to ask, was the silver pistol left in the town, or is it is it taken with Slobbers? And it's still in the town. So Slobbers is just delivering the metal box to show proof that the Sewer Cats gang actually has the item that was supposed to be in the box. And that's kind of where my writing stopped. But now it's kind of given me this unique opportunity to roleplay two different stories that are kind of linked together. I'm still doing my journey with Slobbers, just as I had already set out to do. Is I'm just doing it day by day. So I still have that story going on, and now I've got this other story about Rattlesnake Eyes at Fort Gullet, kind of trying to find this gun. So that is where everything is at so far. And then I created some stats for the doctor, and that's pretty much it. So again, just a little piece of advice for your solo adventures. Not everything requires dice rolling and cool cards and mechanics and all that kind of stuff. If you just happen to have a concept in your head, you just come up with something and you just think it's a cool story, or you think it's going to add to your story, just roll with it. And that's all I did here. This is everything I thought about when I was on my vacation, and just came home, wrote it down in my journal, and then kind of set the stage for everything else that I have going on. So now let's talk a little bit about using playing cards as an oracle. So in the comments section of my first video, there was a comment made about trying to use cards to play 21 or blackjack as the oracle. The commenter tried it out. It didn't work, but came up with an alternative. And I want to share, first of all, give credit where credit's due. So this was from Warm Tropical Wave. I love that name. Basically, you can read the comment for yourself. Found, playing 21, which is a simple game. The commenter just felt that it pulled away from the immersion from the game too much, and kind of took away from the story. So switched over to just a high-low system. Seemed to work. Wrote up some basic information on the high-low system before you can get a yes and a no but type of a response, and tried it out and said it worked. So I went ahead and did the same thing. So what I did is I took the rules from the post, and basically they're simple. Pull a card, pull a second card. If the second card is higher than the first card, you have a yes. If the second card is lower than the first card, you have a no. Okay, so Queen of Clubs. Second card pulled, Five of Hearts. So that answer would be a no, because the first card pulled is higher than the second card, hence making it a no. If it was the other way around, it would be a yes. But then we have some additional rules here. If they're the same suit, it's a but. If it's the same color, it's an and. Same cards, maybe, or shuffle the deck, or something terribly went wrong. So let's kind of walk through this. So if it's the same suit, so let's say I pulled a 8 of hearts first, and then I pulled a 5 of hearts. The answer would be no, because the second card is lower. However, they're the same suit, so that would make it a no but. So that would be your answer. And let's say one of these was a diamonds, and let's say I pulled a 5 of diamonds, and it would be a yes and, because they're just the same color. And then if they're the same cards, so now I got to find two of the same cards. So we got two aces. So if we would have pulled two aces, this means something went wrong. Something terribly went sideways. Something happened. So this would be kind of like one of those plot twist or changes to the story. And that's kind of what you do when you get the same cards, same valued cards. I also wrote, it could be a maybe, or you could also use this as a way of also reshuffling your deck. But the poster's original comment said something went wrong, and that's what you're supposed to do when you get the same cards. So we have a variety of different possibilities. So then what I did is I just sat down and started testing the theory. Just started pulling cards and coming up with what I would get. So I went through the whole deck without shuffling, just went through the deck. And these were my first results. So I had 9 yeses, 1 yes and, 2 yes buts, 4 no's, 6 no ands, 2 no buts, and 1 tie. So those are pretty basic averages. And I did it a second time just to see what my averages would be, and they still kind of came out to be the same thing. I did change the way I did it. I put wrong, which would be ties in the middle between the yeses and the nos. The second one kind of weighed a little bit heavier on the no side, but it still worked out. So I was like, all right, so I could see how this card-based system of high-low would work for answering yes/no questions and things of that nature. But how would it work in gameplay? So I went to town. Let's do kind of an adventure and let's use the cards and let's see what happens. So I did a day 5 using for Slobbers traveling on his journey towards everything. And again, still loving the use of the GM Apprentice cards for what I call set the stage, pulling the cards to kind of give me some weather information, maybe some sounds, some basic words so that I don't get stuck in that rut of just saying every day is, bright, shiny, and sunshine. It's kind of just creating some randomness to me, especially for like maybe the direction of the wind and things of that nature. So just having some fun with it. Kind of went through and just did an adventure, doing some rolls, pulling some cards. Basically, he had an encounter, so we had a little bit of a social interaction, and I just used the cards to kind of, is like the gentleman's name that he ran into. It's a preacher guy. He's injured. His name's London, and they're just talking back and forth because London has some injuries. He's telling Slobbers that he was attacked by wild dogs because I created a quick chart about the story, and that's one of those things that I'll do is if I'm interacting with someone and they say they were attacked by animals, I just wrote down 3 different types of animals and rolled a d3. It came out to be dogs, so boom, he got attacked by dogs. Then, was London telling the truth? So I pulled cards. I got a 6 of spades and a 3 of diamonds. The result was no. Again, it works. This stuff kind of works, and it's working pretty good. There was some basic rolling, a lot of just interaction back and forth. Did pull some cards to see how things would go, and it worked out pretty good. And I was happy with it, and it wasn't pulling me out of the immersion of the game because you're just real quickly you can just pull the 2 cards right off the top, and you got your answer right there because you can easily just see what you've got going on, and then you can just roll with it, and it wasn't complicated. And that's what I like about oracles. I don't like complicated oracles. As much as I like Mythic for a lot of its other characteristics, I do find sometimes the Oracle can be a little bit too much for just answering a simple yes/no question. So I was liking it. So that kind of worked out. I was happy with the results. A couple days later, I got another chance to sit down and play. This time I wanted to go to Rattlesnake Eyes. I wanted to do something different with Rattlesnake Eyes. Because he's got this cool new shotgun leg. I had some story, just kind of wrote out some stuff. about life of him learning to walk again. I even titled my section "Learning to Walk Again." These are just good tips I do whenever I sit down, whatever the beginning of my story is, I give it a quick title, kind of set the stage, kind of set the mood of what the focus is going on. So just kind of going through it. But I wanted to see, okay, how can I play poker? How can I play like a card game, a gambling game, using this newfound method of high-low for gambling? And so I kind of came up with a system, and I'm just going to kind of walk you through my gameplay that's for gambling, for doing like 5 card draw. Yes, there's other gambling that you can do in the old time. You know, you got Pharaoh, you got all kinds of dice games. I don't think they were playing 7 card stud back then, but I'm sure there was something similar to it. So anywho, so when you're sitting down to gamble, you got to create a table. So you need to decide how many people are playing. We're just going to keep it at 4. We're going to have Rattlesnake Eyes. We're going to have player A, B, C, and that's it. Someone needs to start with the dealing, because the deal is going to go around the table. So you got 4 people. You can roll a D4, number 3. So it'd be C. We'll got A, B, C, and then it'll be Rattlesnake Eyes would be the 4th player. So the deal is gonna start with the person to his right. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna kind of build some suspense at the table. So like everyone's gonna ante up. I just said you're gonna throw a bit into the pot. I didn't want to define any currency. At this point, I didn't want to say it was $1 or a quarter. I just said a bit, just to keep my example simple. So everybody would throw a bit into the pot, and then everybody would deal some cards. So what I basically came up with is, if the answer is yes, that means Rattlesnake Eyes at the table currently has the winning hand. So we would pull a card, Ace of Hearts, 4 of Spades. So Rattlesnake Eyes does not have the winning hand at the table. Somebody else has the winning hand at the table. But we're playing 5 card stud or 5 card draw. So we still have to discard and get more cards. So what I do at this point is there's going to be a little bet going on. There's going to be like, I'm going to keep my hand. I'm going to raise the bet. There's that whole intimidation factor. So at this point, I want Rattlesnake Eyes to, does he keep his cool? Does he give a tell? And a tell in poker is some sort of facial expression or something that kind of indicates either you have a good hand or a bad hand. So, simple question. Does Rattlesnake, can he bluff? And then we just pull cards. We got a 5 of clubs and a king of hearts. Yes, he pulls a bluff. So he's giving no tell on his hand, and everything's good. So currently he's got the losing hand, and he's given no tell. So nobody knows what he has. So then we pull the next card. We got a queen of hearts and a 2 of hearts. So it's a no, and they're the same suit. So we go back to the rules of this oracle, and this would make it a no but. So now there's a twist to it. So now he's got the losing hand. It's a no but. So what I would interpret that to say is he gives a tell. He kind of gives a clue. Maybe it's a facial expression or his eyes or something. But for whatever reason, the other players at the table, one of them who has the winning hand, picks up on this and kind of feels confident that he has the winning hand. So now that other player is going to push the bet. He's going to bet up. Now is Rattlesnake Eyes going to fold, or is he going to continue with the bluff? At this point, you can make the decision based on how much money your PC has and how you're feeling about it. For me, at this point, first hand, I would just fold. I would just throw the cards down and say, nope, I fold. And then we move on to the second one. So now it's Rattlesnake Eyes' turn to deal. One of the rules I came up with is Rattlesnake Eyes could only cheat if he was dealing. Can't cheat if you're not dealing. I wanted to create some kind of a structure to this concept, so where Rattlesnake Eyes couldn't cheat every round, just so he kind of had something. So now it's his turn. So he's going to be able to cheat in this game. So we're going to start with first hand. So we got a 9 of hearts and a jack of clubs. So Rattlesnake Eyes deals. Currently, he has the winning hand at the table. Now we're going to come to the kind of the betting and the bluffing. Does Rattlesnake Eyes give a good bluff? No, he does not give a good bluff. We have two of the same colors, which would make it a no, and I'm just going to say everybody folds. I'm just like, you could go as simple as that, or you could kind of create some tension at the table. It's no, and one of the other players may be looking at Rattlesnake Eyes a little bit cross, like kind of bluffing back, kind of being a little bit more intimidating. So you can kind of create that narrative story. Now we're going to discard, get new hands. So does Rattlesnake Eyes have the winning hand? I pulled both the cards at the same time. They landed like this, which would mean no, he no longer has the winning hand. So let's create some social tension now. So Rattlesnake Eyes didn't, he was able to pull the winning hand the first time. We got some bluffing going on. So does he continue with his bluff? Let's say he does. So do the other players call him on his bluff, or do they fold? So basically we're just going to ask the Oracle. Do they fold? We got a 6 of hearts, ace of diamonds. So it's a yes, and because we got the higher, they're the same colors. So we got a yes and. So you would just have to kind of tear this out like, yeah, they fold, and one of the other players gets a little bit in Rattlesnake's face about cheating, like calls him out for cheating, even though he didn't cheat, calls him out for cheating. So we create some tension at the table now, and I think tension at the table is the important part, and it kind of just works out because you can let that tension build, and then it could result into a conflict of words or a physical conflict. Maybe someone pulls a gun, something like that. So I messed around with this for the day and went through a couple different hands, just pulling the cards. It still needs to be refined a little bit. I still don't feel it's 100% perfect, but I don't want it to be an actual poker game. I don't want to be pulling 5 cards, discarding. Terrible hand. Discarding 2 cards, getting 2 more cards. Oh my, that was a good hand. But I don't want that kind of gameplay in this, because this would be a little mini game within the game type of a thing. Like you would sit down and maybe just play this poker game out. And I wanted to use this high-low card concept to see how the process would work of just saying currently Rattlesnake Eyes is winning the game, currently he's not winning the game, and just making my decisions based on pulling them cards and coming up with that story at the table, creating that tension. And I'm liking it so far, but like I said, I think it still needs a little bit of refinement. So I'll spend some more time with it as I continued. But for right now, that is kind of where I am with Frontier Scum. Still liking these GameMaster Apprentice cards for just giving me some words. And when I do use them, I use both sides. I don't just pull it and just use the one side. I use both sides of the card. Just if I'm getting, it's just for information. These are just prompts that you can pull anything from that just works in your story. Thank you very much to Warm Tropical Wave for the suggestion on the high-low cards. I think this is going to be a perfect fit for this game. And that's, this is what's fun about community and about doing these videos is people give feedback. I would have never thought about using the high-low system that way. I might have just used it differently, but I think the way Tropical Cool Wave created it works out really good. And with my story, sometimes I just feel like writing. I'm just going to write out some stuff and continue on. But for right now, I have 2 different stories going on with this game. I still have Slobbers heading off to deliver the package. He still hasn't opened it, and he still has possession of it, so that's cool. And then I have Rattlesnake Eyes in Fort Gullet, trying to find the silver pistol that was in that box. And hopefully, if the story goes as planned, maybe they'll come back together and meet up. Who knows? Because I think Rattlesnake Eyes may want to have a few words with Slobbers for leaving him buried in a shallow grave. Anyways, thank you for watching and have a great day. Bye.